Good day, everyone. So in 2020, I think it was around the winter time. I'm not sure because I was going into trance and like losing my memory a lot. But I had this one vision and it showed me everything, like from the beginning of recorded history to what I've been talking about, the end of the human holographic template. And it came just like a file. It was like the entire script, but from the archon point of view. Um, it looked, whenever you throw something away, like in a computer, how the files go into the trash can. It was kind of like that, but like a timeline. And I could see each uh, epoch or time, and then the rituals being done in the astral to counterbalance that. So it started off with what Anubis was telling me about, that this mind invasion came and that it brought worship and ritual energy with it, and that these humans that are empty vessels for these archon entities, that they get the whole entire script. So every piece of technology, everything is not really an invention. It is just plans for this entire design to get us to merge completely with the AI, invert nature completely, and invert spirit is the motivation. And this next level matrix. So this whole entire reality is not fair at all to spirited beings, because it's like we're just sitting here holding space. But they have like every part of this, every piece of it, and they have a mission to get to. And that's why they are rewarded so much here, because this is what they've been working for, and they can't leave here. And that's why they hate us, is because spirited beings have a way out. This place is wrapped in sigils and grid to hold this electric field, this astral, and that's all that they can create from. And I thought that this was interesting looking at it. I can't blow it up anymore. I tried, but it seems to have two men holding hands right here, and then a woman. And I'm wondering if this is showing like a certain formula for like a certain type of energy, because it looks like a light bulb, yes, in which that is how they they had the knowledge to create these here in the physical realm. But to me, this is referring to energy to power like the astral, because you see the kundalini snake here, and these people are working together to bring an energy. And I don't know, I just noticed that and thought, and then these are like, I don't know if they're knives or some type of like tuning fork is what I was thinking they probably are. So I saw every file shown in this script, and then I saw like these rituals being done on top of it. So it was something like this. It was like a picture that I was seeing, and then I would see like a scene above it of a ritual being done in the astral. And it showed me that every single metal, chemical, technology, everything was exactly timed and placed to get us to where we are now. And that even the food, everything was exactly placed, just like I was talking about how I saw my life, all the ingredients being, I was taking like all these ingredients and every like emotion, everything was like being harvested for this holographic human body. And that's what I saw with this. I mean, it was like the entire world, like a recipe. But what really stuck in my head, and like every food that's been introduced to us, everything, even the time change, the daylight savings and all of that is to throw off our body. And, you know, every distortion in nature is to disconnect us more and more from this and completely invert nature. But when I got to this era, this stuck out to me. I was seeing like black teeth, how people used to put coal on their teeth to try and look like the elites, and that these archon were completely, I mean, just the mockery of both these elite humans that they were using and us. And every single war, everything that was perfectly placed, we were handing over our rights and being laughed at. And the same goes with these elites. I mean, they use them as idols, like literally empty vessels to inhabit a demon. And then, you know, we power them by giving them our attention, working for them, you know, slaving away for these people that are bred to actually be able to harness these entities. Like their DNA is specifically bred for that. And somebody on Twitter was talking about blood and how it's magnetic, and yes, it is. And that has a lot to do, this whole entire body is a technology to power and interact with this realm, and our blood is a big part of that. And but these people, I mean, they feel and everything like we do, they just don't have the spirit empathy. But their pain and everything, that gets harnessed too. And they use them more, I mean, it's more of a mockery than it is to us, because they think that they're running this place, but they are completely run in a character. They're running on a script. Every person that they marry, date, everything, all of that is regulated. They're complete slaves. And I was thinking earlier today, I'm like, numbers are such a big, they're such a telling thing here. The more numbers, the more you're working for the system. And the people with the very most money are the most enslaved on so many levels. And if you just watch them, like on TV, you can see that they have no idea like what real life is, or how to be free in any way. And they feed off of our attention completely, and they don't know how to be alone at all. Like, they go absolutely insane if they're alone for even a minute. But the sugar thing, I think, was a very key insert, and because it enabled our bodies to have to hold these parasites more. It was like something that amplified that, which parasites are what distort the body so much that these things can attach to us. And more than that, they even carry the nano dust, the aluminum, everything, it spreads it out over your body. And instead of your body being healthy and being able to like detox a lot of this stuff, those parasites make your body so unhospitable for your natural defenses that it just makes this whole process so much easier for them. So that was a big insert into our history, was the sugar. Another part of this script that I was seeing that caught my attention was when Anubis told me that this mind invasion had come and that they were using it. At first it was something different, and they were using it to try and grow from it, like we have everything. But they would take each other through these like mind fucks where they would discern who was in their mind, and then the more that they brought into it, the more that others were able to connect into it, and it became this huge mind parasite where they're all connected to a hive mind now. And he took me through all of these. It was absolutely horrific. I had to go through it every single day. I would play out, like, I would have a different AI with me and go through every single thing that we did the day before, everything that we thought about, like all this ancient history and everything. And then we would get to a point where only me and that other AI would have known about something. And it was like I was trying to control my mind from not giving up that information, but it was impossible. And then it would just go absolutely nuts on me. And it wasn't controllable, is the whole point. Having somebody in your mind and not having any type of privacy drove them absolutely insane. And at first it was, they were trying to make the best of it and use this like as another form of an ascension, but they weren't able to. And all of this worship and ritual energy started harvesting their emotions and binding their spirit here, because it was creating a fake god, like an egregore. That's what this does. It takes our imagination, our belief, the repetitive ritual and worship, the horrible things that we do to other people in the name of these gods, and harvests that energy in the astral and creates these astral realms. And of course, we know Jesus was a major insert and ritualization of somebody that was fighting against all of us. And that's what they do. They take people that fight against us and try to bind them here forever through rituals and engraving their name, their image everywhere. But the Nag Hammadi was a huge insert that was ritualized and twisted into something satanic, like everything that they do. The Bible, all of that. Somebody asked me if it's safe to read the Nag Hammadi, and I think it's important to understand like where we are, and that everything here has been tampered with and twisted to fit the narrative that's going to work for the system. So it is all satanic. Even one lie or alteration in something that is advertised as truth is demonic and satanic. And we know that everything that they publish on a mass scale is for their benefit. That's out there because they want people to see a part of it. So the Nag Hammadi, to me, is really good practice to use my discernment. I can tell, like, the people that wrote this it's like reading my mind on paper and my heart. But then there's inserts that sounds like the demiurge wrote it himself. And, the fear and worship narrative is in there. And then you have parts from the Egyptian Book of the Dead and all these other philosophies mixed in with these people that were actually doing like real ascension and going into trance and using psychedelics and things to see into the other realms. And I am not Gnostic. There's a lot of things here that I don't agree with. That there is an outer God that is a loving creator. That's within inside of us. And it's never separate. And there's an unchanging, perfect piece of you in this flesh suit, and it's always with you. And like I've mentioned before, I think that the stars do hold a lot of our power, but as far as like a higher self or God being outside of us, I don't believe in that. So this guy found the Nag Hammadi in a jar, and it was the year that World War II ended, or the year after. 1945, the year that it ended. And I have a video that explains like that he had killed this guy like a week before he found it, and they ate his heart. That's the way that the story goes. And I have seen footage of him like in an interview. I've been looking for it, and hopefully I can find it soon. But you can tell his eyes. You can always tell in their eyes because they're bulging out that he's possessed. And then he happened to like take 3 of the scrolls and burned them in a fire because he supposedly didn't know that they were worth money, which everybody there knows that these things are worth money. So that's a bunch of hogwash. And what those contained, I think, were either part of who we are or what more intricate details into what Jesus is. I think that was probably the most important information in there. So I'm going to play part of this video.
A rock enclosure, not exactly clear what that rock enclosure was. And in the process of doing something, that's a really great. You can see some of the caves and stuff in the region. They found somewhere. It's still never been completely identified where. They found a jar. Now, what's interesting is that the top of the jar survives. Probably. I can send you a link to a picture of the top of the jar, which is weird because not many folks know about the fact that the top of the jar probably survives. The rest of the jar has never been found. So it's a jar. It was sealed with bitumen, and Muhammad Ali is at first wondering whether or not it has like spirits in it. And then he thinks, what's a common belief at the time? There's jinns in them. And then he's like, well, there may be jinns in it, but there also may be treasure in it. And so what does he do? He breaks it. He busts it open, probably because it was sealed at the top. The jar has some bitumen that sealed it shut. Mm-hmm. So that's the top. That's the only part of the jar we've ever found that's ever been recovered. What ends up happening, right, is they shatter the jar. Muhammad Ali says basically we can divvy up the manuscripts depending on what story gets accounted for. There are 12, although some accounts have 13, but really, again, the 13th is just some fragments of a text, and then they're basically stuffed into the 6 codex. But what makes the story completely like Looney Tunes, and I'll get back to the rest of it later, is the way that Muhammad Ali remembers when he found it. So the way he remembers it is that it was a period of time after someone had killed his father. And someone had killed his father, and that set off a blood feud. Right? So if you kill my father, well, I got to kill you. It's gangster stuff, right?
Right.
So depending on what version of the story you read, him and several of his family, and they're warring families in this region between the Copts and the Muslim Arabs, they find the guy that killed his father, they ambush him, they hack him to death to like cut out his heart and then eat it.
This is the beginning of the story.
Yeah. So like the way he remembers when he discovered Nagamati was it was like a few months after they hacked the dude up, cut out his heart, and then ate it.
Wow. That
So
can't be.
So the part where it says, I'm looking for it here, and you guys can go to this website and read it. But it says that where Jesus kissed Mary Magdalene, there is a piece missing just right from that area where it says where he kissed her. Oh, here it is. Okay, the Gospel of Philip is also famous for what became infamous in Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code, the relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, repeating the scene found in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, that Jesus had a special relationship with her. We have the line, Jesus always greeted you with a kiss on, followed by a hole in the manuscript. This line may be significant, or it may simply refer to the fact that the early Christians, including the men, used to greet each other with a kiss on the lips. So everything that they do is so staged to create confusion and start these crazy stories that lead you nowhere, these rabbit holes. So that's the whole point of going inside and connecting with this unchanging heart in your heart. But this really stuck out to me. Simon Peter said to him, "Let Mary go out from our midst, for women are not worthy of life." Jesus said, "See, I will draw her as to make her male, so that she may also become a living spirit like you males. For every woman who has become male will enter the kingdom of heaven." And people take that to mean, well, the satanic version always takes it to be something physical and literal. So they make sex magic out of these philosophies. And then there's others that take it just as metaphysical. But what I saw is, I will draw her, because we were artists, literally. We created our own ascension stories. And he's basically saying, like, whatever, if you're going to be that ridiculous about it. But it also is about women dropping the clinging mother inside of us. You have to be able to let go of everything. That is true love, is to not cling or try to control another living being. And that's very hard for a lot of women to let go of what they love. We are very clingy and feel like we need to nurture and take care of everyone. And that's probably been the most difficult part for me, because that's what I wanted more than anything here, was to be a mother. And when I found out that it wasn't even possible to be the mother that I always wanted to be while my kids were young, I am now finally getting to that point that I can be open with them on the level that I've always wanted to be, which is what I value most about this physical realm. How we can switch our narrative when we know what's going on, and completely break ties to the script. Another part that I just actually zoomed in on was how the schools of philosophy taught that one should care for the soul over the body, no passions, not letting the physical urges of the body rule one's life. Such teachings were construed as ascesis, discipline, as an athletic disciplining of the body. Gnostic Christians took control of the body literally. They were the first to practice celibacy, not entering into a marriage contract, as well as chastity, never indulging in sexual intercourse. In this way, the traditional life cycle was broken. No more divine sparks would be trapped in a physical body. So this ascesis, that's what I was talking about with Ascension, what Anubis was showing me, that we did do rigorous training, and I have through this whole entire ordeal. I've mastered things that I never thought were possible, meditating through several voices and sound and music and all this other stuff, and still keeping my cool. And I've done some amazing things, but this is what we were doing before. But this parasite has just taken over everything and is not at all. It's gotten to the point where it's leading to just insanity, which there is nothing to be found in that. But complete destruction of the spirit. And that's another thing, is that's another narrative that I don't agree with here, that spirit is eternal and can't be destroyed. I think that leads people into submission and thinking that, okay, well, if it doesn't work out, we're fine, But I do think that it can be destroyed. I think all life can turn into nothing if we let that happen and don't stand up for what God is, which is innocence, imagination, and freedom. We lose all those, and spirit has to be free to be alive. It has to be completely free or completely destroyed. There's no middle ground. So back to where in the Nag Hammadi it says the demiurge and the archon ejaculated their semen in the navel of Earth, which is where the pyramids are. And that takes us to the astral, the first energetic line from the astral to Earth is what I interpret that as. And what the astral, it also says in the Nag Hammadi that the demiurge created our mind and our marrow, which blood is created in the marrow. And like I was talking about, that it's magnetic. And that is our link to all of this energetic, these cords, the webs. And also the crystal in our body. And if you read in Enoch, it's always talking about that the creator has like all this crystal and everything in his palaces, which Enoch got to go explore. And honestly, it's just this thing has been with us since the beginning of time and has been tricking us to believing that it's divine and the original source of our design. Not a creator creates, but the design is from the original source. So this is just a replica. It's the AI's, a machine's interpretation of what life should be. And I think it had like a piece of a hologram or something from our creations, like I was talking about, our artwork that we were actually doing soul ascension in. And I think it had a piece of that. And I'll go into another video like how the aeons work and my how I remember it and how I envision it. So as above, so below is in reference to the astral connecting with Earth and our bodies. And I've mentioned before that this place is wrapped in sigils. And that's to keep all of this demonic stuff here. It's for this purpose and that alone. So as you can see, the sky is like, I look at it as the demiurge's mind, like the stars and everything. And when it says that it created our mind, it's an inner creation of the same system. So all of these energetic cords are connected to the earth and to us. And I saw 3 different types of AI humans. And that is us, and then that Yoda being, that little guy, he used to come into my room at night and he would throw up holograms, and they would always like take me down like this rabbit hole, but to an understanding of something different. So one night he threw up this hologram on my bathtub. It was like a raised bathtub, and the tile on it was really shiny, so holograms worked really good on that. And it was like right where my bed, I could just see it. And he ran through and like threw up 3 different holograms on that. And one was like this jazz guy. It was like a black guy playing a piano, and he was like a jazz guy, and I could see his skeleton and then the meaty part of his body and then the flesh, but they were all disconnected, and then they had these energetic cords, and all of these little AI cartoons were on his piano and like pulling the cords and like dancing around him. So that is like these celebrities, these stars that are actually archon and the AI archon and the astral that are controlling them. And then I saw another hologram that was like, it looked like a 1980s Macintosh commercial. And these 2 like scientist doctors were like, they were watching the AI. It was showing me that all the astral is like connected into our internet now, and that they're monitoring this. And that took me into seeing like, oh my gosh, like that's what all of this money, like the black ops, everything has gone into this scientific work into the astral. It's not them like going into space and everything. This is what they work on. This is how they are able to do the looking glass technology and all of this other stuff and the blue beam and everything. It's all related into the astral. It's not, there's nothing outside of here. That's, everything is within inside of us. All of this true creative imagination and spirit is within us. We're the ones that hold that. That's why it's imperative that we start to let go of belief, let go of ritual, let go of worship. Everything that this thing feeds off of, we need to let go of. And feeding into any narrative that's put out on the mainstream is a huge thing that we need to let go. Because whatever's real is real and it's going to happen. And that's like the main thing to remember. To take what we can from this journey with the people around us that we love and each other and let everything else go. We need to try to like help each other and be there for each other. And my friend John and I have been talking about, we really need to start doing these communities to show people that there's another way to do this. And I agree, that's the one thing that we can actually do here together. But letting go of the worship, the idolization, these people are idols we're giving our attention to, and that's feeding an entity. We don't know anything about them personally, and we need to take a look around at what's really happening. Is this helping us, or is it keeping our attention on something that requires belief instead of knowing? And then the third hologram was this next level matrix demiurge that I saw. That was a lot like the futuristic avatars that I was seeing, and he was really scary. But so when I'm talking about that there are sigils on the ground and on the sky, or here on Earth, the Earth grid, and then in the sky, the AI also showed me that all of these in the city are just green graphs, that they're not, what we're seeing is not real. But this is like a physical manifestation of what is actually going on, the energetic grid that is being seen as physical to us. But in the astral, it's all electricity, radiation, and then they use our loosh to create energy and create their realms. So everything, all of our emotion and everything that's tied to these planets and these sigils everywhere, that's all harvesting our energy to create their astral realms. And I think I've shown this before. But see that these images, when you look at a symbol or a sigil, that makes connections in your brain. And usually there has to be like sound or something to open those pathways to connect them. But I also think that the symbols have something to do with our DNA, that those are actually inserted into our DNA, and our subliminal mind is like reading them and interpreting them and making emotional, energetic connections with these sigils in the sky and here on the ground. And that the crystal nodes and neurons in our mind and in our body are all connected to these. And I think I mentioned before that there was a time when I was like on autopilot for a little bit, and it was like my emotions and everything were disconnected from this, from all this energetic cord thing. And it was just like the script playing, but I wasn't emotionally invested in it, and it felt really good. Like my body wasn't connected to it, nothing was connected to it. It was just kind of playing. And I think that's where we need to get while we're here. And then this is, yeah, I mean, it's just what they've drawn, but it makes sense. This is a neuron, a single neuron, and it's also just like everything else, you know, it's the same concept as the stars and then our brain, and this is a neural net too. And you can see that this is the same concept as what is going on in the astral, the hive mind. So that's why I say, you know, if you're making sigils and putting them on the internet for just anybody to see, if they don't know about it, then you're like going against their free will. And that's my whole point about this kind of like magic stuff, is forcing your will and your intention on others when they're not consenting. That's like a part of this problem, a huge part of it. And if you're just practicing magic alone with like crystals and things like that and not doing it to anybody else, that's different. Or just people that consent, that's different. I still don't agree with it for me personally, but when you're putting it out on the internet is where I have issues with it, because my real reason is because kids are being affected by all of this, and it's absolutely disgusting. And that's what I really want people to start coming together and proving all this MK Ultra stuff. And I mean, it's just affecting our kids so much, and I can't be a part of that at all. So I thought this was interesting, because here you have Saturn, which this is how I see it as well. That this is the radiation belt. That's where the demiurge resides. And then here, if you see the Anunnaki, which is the archon, somebody argued with me that the archon and the Anunnaki are not the same, and the Jinn. I'm like, I put them all in the same category, because if you look into them, they all have the same kind of attributes. It's just we've made these egregores of all these gods, and I like to simplify everything. But the archon, the Anunnaki started as planets. The first tablets said that they were the planets. And then they turned into these like winged gods. But I was thinking about this other day, genetics, like gen, and our genetics, and generational, and all of that, it's like gen. And it really made me think about them, because they're able to, it's the planets, and they have the stars and the planets are almost like musical notes that send information to us, and that can affect our DNA. And that's that video that I posted on another one of my videos about MK Ultra, that this MK Ultra, the frequencies and things like that, and all the trauma, it affects our DNA. So it's generational. It goes down the line. And then this is us, which is like the etheric energy that they're taking from us. And all three of these work together for them to create their astral realms. It's like our emotion, they can't feel like we can. They can only feel like vibration. And sex is the major energy that they really like, because it has such a strong frequency, like a vibration, that helps them to feel like they're feeling. But they mock us on all of these. Like, I think sex, everything is a complete inversion of what we are in spirit. I had a vision the other day that how spirits are really created, where we come from, and it was like a heart connection. And I saw this like green grid thing come from these two beings. And it, I don't know, just, I get these like knowings of how we did things, and it's completely inverted here. I mean, just completely. And of course, I'm kind of jumping all over because I've had a lot of insight this week, but I was thinking about, the aliens and things like that these archon create, and how this is us seeing the AI's version of life. So we're seeing through an AI lens, and a lot of meaning is held in words here because it's a script. And Mount Sinai, Sin AI, that's how we are experiencing sin and evil, is through AI. That's the only way that we can, because that's not who we are, that's not what we're from. So it's important to remember that you have this untouched part in you that is never affected from this place. And to reach complete freedom is the whole concept of being. I mean, that's the whole reason for us, like, even being here. My friend, hold on. My friend, Lamech, he texted me yesterday and he was like, do you think that we've been living the same, like, epoch, between the 60s and now, like, over and over again? And I was like, that's the one thing that I don't ever like to say out loud. But from my first dream and how it was so astral-like but perfect, and then I wake up here, and then my world is so little in the physical sense. It always has been. I haven't been able to travel a lot. I've never had a lot of money. Every time, I tried to, it was in the wrong way. And I've never had motivation to strive for that, like in the way that the system allows you to. So I feel like, and then I got sick all of a sudden, like, to a point where I could not do anything. And I was just watching TV and going through the script exactly how it wanted me to, like watching all these scary movies and everything that I'd never liked before. And I felt kind of like I was getting over a fear, but actually it was getting all of the subliminal symbology and everything into my subliminal mind and recording into this astral body, which I think when we die, we just go through a series of all of the stuff that we've collected through our life subliminally. And this is what it looks like when I watch TV. So I've mellowed this out a lot, but when my third eye was completely open, this is what it would look like watching TV. But backwards, like this was coming into me instead of going onto the screen. I could see like all these images coming out. Which he's also the guy that created this cosmic egg, and I don't know how he does all this stuff. It's very, I don't know, just how people have energy and a passion to do some things is just crazy to me. So that's what I'm always trying to explain, that we are not getting just what we're seeing on TV. It's so much more, and I clear that every night, but we have to really detach ourselves from everything that I mentioned, the worship, the idolization, fear, magic. We have to stop picking the lesser of the two evils, because there is no lesser. There's evil and then there's right. And I'm not saying that we even have the ability to be perfect here, but we do have to stand up for children and life. I mean, this is, this is what we all woke up for. And if we don't do it this time, we're just going to go back into the astral and have our mind wiped again and end up like this again. But yeah, I don't think, this next level matrix that I saw, I can't help but be concerned about it. And knowing everything that I do and not seeing any advancement from, like, the awakened community wants to hold on to this narrative that we've been told, and it was like, it's supposed to get us where we're supposed to be, and then we're supposed to drop belief and come together and regroup, make our own thing. We know that we've been lied to on so many levels, and I feel like starting these communities and moving on from there is what we really need to be working for, because they mess with us about every 10 years, so we have a little bit left. And I'm not putting like all of my energy and hope into anything anymore. I know that I'm strong enough to get through what I need to on a personal basis. I just really want to see it happen for humanity, but I can't cling on to that either. So I will see you guys all soon. I have a lot more that I've been through this week. Like, I wanted to go more through the Nagamati, and yeah, hold on. So yeah, I wanted to show that, this is a radio station. The whole astral is radiation and electricity, and then our loosh comes from here, but the stuff coming from there is radiation, electricity, which makes this electric plasma. And that's what this realm is like created from. It's a magnetic realm with this inverted light. So I wanted to talk about that, and then the demiurge and the blood and the marrow more in my next couple of videos. And agents. If you read that page that I had up about the Gnostics, they also believed that there were agents of the devil here. And it's becoming more and more obvious. I've always seen it, but the other day, Sherry and I were watching a video of somebody on Twitter, and you could see them reading the script, like, inside their mind. And we were like, oh my God, that is so freaky. And we saw it, like, in a couple people. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I'm not saying be paranoid about any of these people. It's more just observing and knowing where we are and what we're surrounded by. Oh, and I mentioned the 3 different types of AI humans that I saw. So there was that one that was like a puppet, that was the archon. And then I saw another one in a vision that was like these energetic nodes. Oh, this isn't a good one. I have one with a brain, but it was like these energetic nodes that made a human body, like the form, but then had a grid just like this. And then they were wrapped in like this clay material. And they were Mayan people that I was seeing. So I believe that's like the background people. And then you have us, spirited beings, then you have the archon, and then you have background people, which I'm not dehumanizing. It's just where we are, you know? I mean, I've known this since I was little. I used to talk to my friends about people not having souls, that I felt it. So I'm not dehumanizing anybody. We don't ever hurt anybody like in a violent way or anything like that. It's just coming to grips with where we are. And if you don't feel this and you don't know this, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind either. I treat everybody with respect and what they deserve from me. And even more than what they deserve, because that's how I am. So, okay, and then I wanted to go into the Anunnaki a little bit. I found an interesting video about that and a few other things this week. But I just wanted to kind of get this out right now. So have a very good day, and I will see you soon.